What's MCP all about? So, imagine you're talking to an AI assistant, right? And you want it to help you with stuff on your computer, like reading your files, checking your GitHub repos, or pulling data from your databases. But here's the problem. Your AI is just sitting in a chat window. It can't actually touch any of your stuff. That's where MCP comes in. MCP, or Model Context Protocol, is basically like giving your AI assistant a set of arms and hands to reach out and interact with your tools and data. Before MCP, if you wanted AI to help with your work, you'd have to copy and paste everything into the chat, manually run commands and report back, switch between different tools constantly, basically be the middleman between your AI and your actual work. It was exhausting. MCP says, nah, let's just let the AI connect directly.
How does it actually work? Think of it like a restaurant, okay? You are the customer, that's you chatting with your AI assistant. Your AI is the chef who takes your order. MCP servers are like specialized kitchen stations, one for pasta, one for desserts, one for drinks. Each station knows how to make specific things and has access to specific ingredients. When you ask your AI for something, it figures out which kitchen station, or MCP server, it needs to talk to, sends the request, gets the result, and brings it back to you.
The three main pieces: 1. The host, like Claude Desktop or ChatGPT. This is the app where you're actually talking to your AI. It's like the dining room of our restaurant, where you place your order. Could be Claude Desktop, ChatGPT, or any other AI app that supports MCP. 2. The client, the waiter. This is the behind-the-scenes connector. You don't really see it, but it's carrying messages between you and the kitchen. It's built into the host. 3. The servers, the kitchen stations. These are the actual tools that do stuff. Each server is specialized. A GitHub server that knows how to work with your code, a file system server that can read your documents, a database server that can run queries. All right, so before we jump into this, you're going to need to have some applications installed. We're going to install Cursor first. So here's what you're going to do. When you run the installer, first thing you'll see is the license agreement. Just click I accept the agreement and then hit Next. Easy enough, right? Now it's going to show you where it wants to install the program. Basically, what folder on your computer it's going to download to. You can just click Next here to accept that location. Then it might ask you if you want to select a different folder or continue with the one it chose. Just click Next again to keep going with what it suggested. Here's where you need to pay attention. You're going to see some checkboxes with options. Make sure you select Create a Desktop icon. This just puts a shortcut on your desktop so you can easily find the program later. You should also check Add to Path and Register for Projects, if those options are there. These help the program work properly with other tools. Now, just let it install. It'll take a minute or two, depending on your computer. So while that first program is installing, we're going to go ahead and download Claude Desktop. Open up your web browser, Chrome, Firefox, Safari, whatever you use, and go to the Claude website. It should take you to the product page. Once you're there, you'll see download options for different operating systems. If you're on Windows, click the Windows option. On a Mac, click Mac OS. You get the idea. Just pick whichever one matches your computer and click Download. The file will start downloading. Depending on your internet speed, this might take a minute or two. Okay, so your download is done. Now go find that file you just downloaded, it's probably in your Downloads folder, and double-click it to start the setup. The installation window will pop up. Just follow along with what it says. It's pretty straightforward. Click through the setup wizard, and when it's done installing, go ahead and launch Claude Desktop. Here's where you connect everything. When Claude Desktop opens for the first time, you're going to see a welcome screen. There should be a button that says something like Continue with Google or Sign in with Google. Click that button, and it'll take you through the Google sign-in process. Just use your regular Google account, the same one you use for Gmail or YouTube or whatever.
Type in your email, then your password, and it might ask you to verify it's really you. Once you're signed in, boom, you're in Claude Desktop. You should see the main interface now.
So in Docker Desktop, look for a section called MCP Toolkit. When you click on that, you can add what are called MCP Servers. These are the different tools and services Claude can connect to. Under the Service section, when you scroll, you see the various MCP servers you can connect to. If you go to the Catalog section, you're going to see a huge list. Right now, there are like 264 different servers you can add. Don't worry, you don't need to add all of them. We're just going to focus on one to start with. Each server does something different. Some let you work with files, some connect to websites, some help with databases. There's a lot of options. But for now, we're going to add one specific server that lets Claude work with YouTube videos. Once you find it, click the plus icon. It's going to add that server to your Docker Desktop setup. Now here's the cool part. Once you've added it, you can click on it to see what it can actually do. You'll see an overview page that tells you about the server's capabilities. Under the Tools section, you can see the tools this MCP server has access to. For this YouTube one, it can do three main things. 1. Get time transcript. This means it can get you a transcript of a YouTube video with timestamps, so you know exactly when things were said. 2. Get transcript. This just gets you the full text of what was said in the video without the timestamps. And 3. Get media information. This grabs details about the video itself, like the title, description, who uploaded it, that kind of stuff. Pretty useful, right? So now Claude can analyze YouTube videos for you without you having to watch the whole thing or manually copy transcripts. The last section is the configuration, where you connect the settings to connect client to the MCP server. Now we have to connect Docker Desktop to a client. In the Docker Desktop MCP Toolkit interface, you have several client options available. 1. Claude Desktop, ready to connect. 2. Continue.dev, needs configuration, shows not configured in red. 3. Cursor, available to connect. 4. LM Studio, needs configuration, shows not configured in red. 5. Semel.ai Studio, needs configuration, shows not configured in red. Ready to connect means the client application is already installed and configured on your system, and Docker Desktop has detected it. All you need to do is click the Connect button to establish the connection between that client and the MCP servers in Docker Desktop. In contrast, not configured, shown in red for Continue.dev, LM Studio, and Semel.ai Studio, means either the application isn't installed on your system yet, or it's installed but not properly configured to work with MCP. You need to download or install it first, then configure it before you can connect. So, for Claude Desktop specifically, since it shows Ready to Connect with just the Connect button, this means Claude Desktop app is already installed on your computer, Docker Desktop has detected it, and it's properly configured to support MCP connections. And all you need to do is click the Connect button to link it to the MCP toolkit. Once you click Connect, Claude Desktop will be able to access and use all the MCP servers you have running in Docker Desktop, like the file system, database tools, and etc.
Okay, so now let's configure some settings to make sure everything works properly. In Claude Desktop, you need to find the settings. It's usually in a menu at the top, or there might be a gear icon somewhere. Click on Settings. When you open up the Settings section, you're going to see a few things by default. Let me explain what they are. Web Search. This is a toggle switch that you can turn on or off. When it's on, it means Claude can search the internet to find information for you. So, if you ask about something recent or something Claude doesn't know, it can go look it up online. Pretty handy. You can turn this on or off depending on whether you want Claude using the web or just working with what it already knows. Extended Thinking. This is another optional feature. When you turn this on, Claude takes more time to think through problems and gives you more thorough, detailed answers. It's like asking Claude to really think carefully instead of just giving you a quick response. You don't have to use it all the time, but it's good for complex questions or when you need really careful analysis. Adding more connections. You'll also see an option to add connector or something similar. This is where you can connect Claude Desktop to other tools if you want to. For now, we've already got it connected since we're using it, but just so you know, you could also connect it to Cursor, that program we installed earlier. LM Studio, if you want to use local AI models on your computer, or other compatible programs that work with MCP. You don't have to add these right now, but it's good to know they're there if you need them later.
In Docker Desktop, enable Claude Desktop to connect to the MCP server by clicking Connect. Let's head back to Claude Desktop to check out this connection. Here's something really important that trips a lot of people up. After you add MCP servers, the changes don't take effect right away. You have to restart Claude Desktop for everything to work properly. Claude Desktop needs to close completely and start fresh so it can load up all the new servers you just added. So here's what you do. 1. Close Claude Desktop completely. Don't just minimize it or hide the window. Actually close it. Wait a second or two to make sure it's fully closed. Now open Claude Desktop again. Either click the desktop shortcut we created earlier or find it in your programs list or however you usually open apps. Once Claude Desktop is back open, you want to verify that your YouTube server is actually working now. Here's how. Go back to that settings area, look at the servers section again, and you should see the MCP Desktop shown as active or enabled or whatever they call it. If you see it there, you're good to go. If for some reason it's not showing up, just restart Claude Desktop one more time. When you click the MCP Docker, you should see Get Time Transcript, Get Transcript, and then Get Media Information. We see that we have all these enabled. All right, so now that everything is installed and connected, let me show you how to actually use this thing. It's super simple. Just start chatting with Claude like you normally would, but now you can ask it to do things with YouTube video. You paste the YouTube URL and then say, generate the transcript for this YouTube video. Claude will use that YouTube transcript server we installed to grab the information. However, you'll see the option to allow once, allow always, and deny. Allow once grants permission for just this single request. Next time you ask me to use the YouTube server, you'll see the prompt again. Good for testing things out, or if you're being cautious about which videos you want me to access. Allow always grants permission for all future requests to this MCP server. You won't see the prompt again for the YouTube transcript server. Much more convenient for regular use. Good for when you trust the server and plan to use it frequently. Deny blocks the request. I won't be able to access the YouTube video. You'll need to try again if you change your mind. Good for if you accidentally triggered something or want to stop the action. So we're going to click Allow Once. Now, here's the thing. Another permission dialog is going to pop up right after that. This second one is asking if I can actually get the transcript itself, all the words that were spoken in the video. Click Allow Once again on this second prompt, and it'll fetch the transcript for you. And just like that, the full transcript appears right there in the chat. You can expand it, scroll through it, see all the timestamps showing exactly when each part was said. You can copy whatever you need, or you can ask me to summarize it, analyze it, pull out key points, whatever you want. So Claude tells you about your video. You don't have to watch the whole video yourself, and you don't have to manually copy anything. Claude does it all for you. Now, if you go back to Docker, we can try out another really interesting MCP server. This time, I'm going to search for Gmail, and I'm going to add this server to our setup. This Gmail server is pretty powerful. It basically has a lot of functionality built in. Let's go to the Tools section and take a look. You'll see it can list messages, show recent messages from your inbox, find specific messages, search for messages containing particular words or phrases, and of course, send messages as well. So let's take a closer look at the configuration.
Here you simply put in your email address, and then you're supposed to generate what's called an app password. This is a special password that gives the application secure access to your Gmail account. So go ahead and open Google, and let's search for Gmail app password. Basically, you'll want to open your browser, search for Gmail app password, and then keep signing in with your Google account. It'll take you to a dedicated page where you can create and manage your app passwords for different applications. You can select this option right here. Yeah, so you'll create a new one from scratch. You can still create one even if you have existing passwords. And then we'll go back to Docker and paste that password into the configuration field. So I've already created a password earlier, so I'm just going to paste the password right here. Then you'll see it appear in the field and get saved.
So once you've done that, once you've completed that setup, now if you go back to Claude, you can't see the changes unless you restart. So we've just restarted our Claude Desktop application to pick up the new configuration. Now I'm going to search for the MCP Docker to verify everything is working. And now we have the tools available. Find message, get message, and send message are all showing up. Perfect. So I'm going to ask our LLM to retrieve the last few emails from my inbox. Now it's going to request permission to access this. So you'll see Claude wants to use list messages from MCP Docker. The count is set to 10, which means it'll pull the 10 most recent emails. So we click Allow to grant that permission. And what that means is that it's going to retrieve the last 10 emails from the inbox and display them for us. Now we have them right here. There's a security alert, another security alert from Google, a Gmail digest email, November groups, etc., etc. You can see all the recent emails coming through.
So now let's try searching for a particular email in the inbox. I'm going to ask it to search for emails. Now, interestingly, it's saying it didn't find any emails specifically about job applications or vacancies in the inbox. However, it did notice in the recent emails that there was a LinkedIn job alert. That's actually about a geologist position at Asante Gold from November 9th. So Claude is asking, would you like me to search for LinkedIn job alerts specifically, or emails from specific companies you've applied to, or perhaps a different time period with different search terms? This shows you how intelligent the system is. It can analyze what's actually in your inbox and suggest more targeted searches. So now that I've demonstrated this Gmail functionality, we can move ahead to the next part of the tutorial.
All right, so we're going to look for another MCP server. This time, I'm going to look for Notion. Let's connect Notion to our setup. Now, ordinarily, if you want to connect Notion using the Claude API directly, you actually have to make payments. It's a premium feature. So let me open this up and show you what I mean. You can see the Notion MCP server here in Docker, and you can see all the tools that are available. There's create a page, create a database, create a block, get a page, retrieve a document, retrieve your data, and so on and so forth. It's quite comprehensive. And you have a configuration section here. So this is where you put the Notion internal integration token. And I'll show you exactly how to get this token in just a moment. It's actually quite straightforward. But first, let me show you something interesting. If you go to Claude and you try to add this, or if you go to the settings and you try to add connectors directly, you'll see that this feature is actually for the Pro version only. For you to use this connector natively through Claude's interface, you would have to upgrade to the paid Pro version. But with this Docker setup that we're using, you just need the internal integration token. That's all you need. You don't have to pay anything extra, which is pretty amazing. So let's open your browser and then open your Notion workspace. You just have to sign into your Notion account first, and then you go to your settings. So under settings, you're going to go to connections here. That's where all the integration options are. In the connections section, we're going to look at the integration management options.
So we can either browse connections in the gallery to see what's available, or we can develop or manage our own integrations. So let's click Develop or Manage Integrations. That's perfect. This is what we need. So now you can create a new integration from scratch. By the way, this is an integration that was created by me earlier as an example. So to create a new integration, you just click on New Integration. You can name it something descriptive like Claude or Docker MCP or Claude integration, whatever you prefer, and will help you remember what it's for. Then you need to select the associated workspace. So the workspace we're going to be using for this demonstration is ECM3, and the type should be set to internal. Yeah, that's right. Internal means it's just for your own use, not a public integration. So then you can decide to upload a logo if you want to make it look more professional and recognizable. I'm just going to select any picture here from my computer. Let's select any picture from my files. This one looks good. And then I click Configure Integration Settings, or Submit to save these initial settings. So here we can see our integration secret. This is the internal integration token that we need. So we reveal it here by clicking the Show button. You'll see a long string of characters. That's your token. So copy this token carefully. Make sure you get the whole thing. Now we're going to give it all the access permissions and capabilities that it needs to function properly. And then we go back to our Docker configuration. And now I'm going to clear this field where it says to enter the token, and I'll put in this integration token that we just copied. And then we're good to go. So now we have to restart Claude to pick up these new settings. So once Claude has restarted completely, let's go into our settings and check the servers. Let's look for MCP Server, Docker MCP Server. Let's check again to make sure it's showing up.
And you can see that we now have all these tools for Notion available to use. I'm going to ask it a simple question. Do you have access to Notion? Let's see what it says. So it says yes, it has access to Notion, and it's going to help with searching for pages, databases, creating pages, reading pages, querying databases, creating blocks, and etc. Perfect. That confirms our integration is working. So now that we have this set up properly, we can go ahead and ask something more specific. What are the databases in my Notion workspace? You'll see that it's going to request to use the MCP Server tool, specifically the Notion Server tool, to query this information. So it's processing this request and asking for permission. So it looks like there are currently no databases in your Notion workspace. Or more specifically, the integration does not have access to any databases in the workspace yet. This actually makes sense, because we haven't configured the access permissions properly yet. So let me cross-check this in the Notion settings. Let's go to the integration settings, and we can see that under Page and Database Access, there's no page access configured yet. So we need to fix this. We can edit the access settings and select pages to give access to. Let me select all of them so it has full access, and then save these changes. So what that means is that now the integration has access to all of these pages and databases in our workspace. So let's check back again with Claude and see what happens now. We might have to restart Claude again, but let's try checking again first without restarting. So I'll retry the same query, no changes needed to the question. Let me click Allow to give permission for the tool to run. So now we can see we have two databases showing up. With all the different properties of this database, you can see all the fields and structure, and we have leads with all the properties of that database as well. Perfect. Now it's reading everything correctly. You can also create another database directly from Claude, which is really powerful. So let's say create a database. Let's create another database called Projects to manage our projects. Yeah, so create it. I'll click Allow so it can proceed with creating this new database. So it's confirming it has created a project database successfully. Here's what it set up automatically. It created a project name field as a title field, and then a status field with options like planning, in progress, on hold, and completed. It also intelligently added priority levels, start date, end date, project manager assignment, budget tracking, and description fields. This is really comprehensive. It basically created a full project management database for us.
so we can access the database directly in Notion. It even gives us the direct link to view it in our Notion workspace. Let's click this link, open link in browser. And there we go. We have our project database created with all these fields: project name, budget, description, end date, priority, project manager, start date, and status. Everything is set up perfectly and ready to use. So this is basically how to use MCP servers effectively. There are a lot of other tools that can be used as well. The ecosystem is growing rapidly. You can't go through each and every single one of them because there are just too many available. For example, you can have a desktop commander which searches, updates, and manages files and runs terminal commands with AI assistants. So there are a lot of integrations that you can use depending on your needs. You can also create your own MCP server if you want to build custom integrations for specific workflows or tools you use. Now, when it comes to the clients, so we've been using Claude Desktop throughout this tutorial, but apart from Claude Desktop, you can also use other clients.
Okay, so now we want to try out Cursor. We click the Connect button to connect to Cursor. Now open the Cursor application, and when you open Cursor for the first time after setting up the MCP integration, you should see your MCP Docker integration here, and it should start loading all the available tools automatically in the background. This might take just a moment as it connects to all the services we've configured. So I'm just going to start a new chat to test this out and see everything working. You can see it says 24 tools are enabled here. That's quite a lot of functionality we have access to. This includes all the Gmail tools, the Notion tools, the YouTube tools, and everything else we've set up through Docker. And we're just going to test access to one of these tools to make sure everything is working properly. So let's do that. Let me ask it to generate a transcript from a YouTube video. I'll paste in a YouTube URL and ask it to extract the transcript for me. We can see that now Cursor wants to use the MCP server to fulfill this request. So we have a permission dialog here. We can skip this permission request if we don't want to proceed, or we can allow it. That means you're going to allow it to access the MCP tools and execute the command. We have several options here. Always allow, which means it won't ask again for this tool, allow once, or we can choose to run it just this time. So let's select run this time for now. This gives us control over each request, and it should run the tool and start processing. Let me select run again to confirm the action. Okay, so we have a little problem here. I think this particular video doesn't have a transcript available, or there might be an issue accessing it. Maybe it's disabled by the creator or the video is too new. Let's try another video to see if it works with a different URL. Great. So here we can see the transcript now. Here's the formatted transcript file right here. You can see all the text content from the video properly formatted and ready to use. It's all extracted cleanly with timestamps and everything. All right, so this clearly shows that Cursor has access to the MCP Docker MCP server and is working correctly. The integration is functioning exactly as expected, and we can use all these powerful tools right from within Cursor. So basically, this is it about using MCPs. This covers the fundamentals of how to set them up, configure them, and use them effectively in your workflow. You can also go ahead and create your own custom MCP server if you have specific needs, or upload your MCP server configurations here to extend functionality even further. The possibilities are really endless. You can also try using your MCP server with other applications and editors beyond just Claude Desktop and Cursor. For example, you can use it with VS Code. Visual Studio Code has great support for this. Or you can use it with Zed Editor, which is a newer, faster editor. You can also integrate it with AI Studio or Continue.dev, which are other AI-powered development tools. And then you have a broad range of toolkits and integrations to select from, depending on your specific needs, your workflow, and the kind of work you're doing. Whether you're doing web development, data analysis, content creation, or anything else, there's likely an MCP integration that can help you. So that wraps up this comprehensive tutorial on MCP servers. We've covered installation, configuration, connecting multiple services like Gmail and Notion, and using them across different clients like Claude Desktop and Cursor. thank you so much for watching and following along with this tutorial, and I'll see you in the next video where we'll explore even more advanced features.